Welcome to the Marketing Mortgages podcast by Social for Brokers. Now, today I have with me Michael O'Brien, who is the Director of Home of Mortgages, also Director of Home of Specialist Finance, Home of Commercial Finance, and Brookings Estate Agents. So Michael's a very busy man, so really respect his time coming on today. Thank you so much. Now, Michael has a team of 17 across the Home of brand with mortgages, specialist and commercial, and also 10 people at Brookings Estate Agents. So he's built some very successful companies. Now, today, we're going to go into how he grew the businesses, setbacks he had along the way, how he runs his business, which I know a lot of people will want to hear about, and what he's doing to be innovative in this new property world across estate agency and mortgages as well. So, Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much, Chris. Thanks for inviting me on.
No worries at all. I'm really excited. We've had this booked in for a while,
Yeah.
and I wrote everything out yesterday what I wanted to speak to you about. And I had to trim it down because I thought I'm going to be here for hours otherwise. And I know you're a busy person, so thank you so much for coming on. But before we get into that, I'd like to get a bit of a background of how this all started. How did you get into mortgages, and how did you launch Home of Mortgages?
Okay, so how I got into mortgages, when I was younger, I never knew anything about mortgages, property, didn't have any guidance in property world. Grew up in a council flat in Canning Town in East London, so it wasn't a world that I was exposed to. My introduction to mortgages was actually coming back from travelling with my then girlfriend, now wife, and we went to an local estate agent, to find out whether we could buy together, seeing as we'd spent a year together travelling.
Good test.
So, yeah, it was a test. And it was. Then when we came back, we went to the estate agent and found out that we could borrow, I think it was a combined amount of 100,000, and couldn't get on the property ladder with that that amount, or not with the properties that we could see. That was 2002.
Right.
So my wife's mum saw an advert for shared ownership, and we went down the shared ownership route. But while speaking to the mortgage advisor, we saw two mortgage advisors. I saw one, and we really weren't impressed. And I came out of there thinking I could have done a better job than that. And then I was working for an insurance company at the time, and went into work. And the girl I was working with said to me, "I'm going to Barclays, and they're training people to become mortgage advisors."
Oh, right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was sort of a bit of fate. I said, well, yeah, sounds good to me. I went along and got the job. So
that's good timing, isn't it? Something like
that was introduction to mortgages, really. So, yeah, it was good timing. So that was 2003, as I started as a mortgage advisor. Did very well there, but then really was frustrated because I had to say no to a lot of people, being a bank advisor. Okay. And I could see that a lot of business was being done. I was in Walthamstow, which was a very busy branch, and there was a lot of estate agents locally. I think it was about 30 estate agents in one street.
Really?
In Hoe Street. And it was a booming market, and the brokers were doing very well there. So if I said no, they were going down the road and getting a mortgage. So I thought that's where I really want to be. So I applied for a role with Spicer McColl, which was mortgages direct back then. It's now just mortgages, let's join them as an employed advisor with Spicer Hart. So that was really good. Good few years. Knew then that I really wanted to sort of make a career of it, and decided that I would start my own mortgage company, and found a shop 2 doors away from where we were in the estate agency, got a lease. We opened on, I think it was I know when it was. I think it was the 17th of September 2008. And the day after, Lehman Brothers collapsed and the whole market sort of went into a bit of a freefall. So it was an interesting time. But if you introduced me at the beginning saying that I've got an estate agency business and a mortgage business, and I've always been in mortgages, but that's how I have an estate agency business, because at the time I had a business partner, and we started an estate agency business out of that shop. And we made a quick pivot to focus on lettings, because that was a growing market. My business partner was going to value properties, and if people weren't really happy with the price because the market was crashing, so we grew the business by offering let to buyers, so accidental landlords. I was still being able to offer a new mortgage on the onward purchase, and we would then let the property out, and we quickly built a lettings business, through that, which is still going today. So yeah, that was my sort of introduction to sort of
That's awesome.
home.
It sounds like, did it start off as Home of Mortgages? Is that what you named
It
it?
didn't start off as Home as Mortgages. No, I mean this is probably another good point, is that if you have got a business, I would say protect the name, because it started
Okay.
off as another name, and that name is a very successful mortgage company today.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, in 2012, I received a note through my door saying I've got 14 days to change the name.
Oh God,
And
you didn't do it without even with it realizing that was the thing.
No, not at all. No, no. I mean, they weren't in financial services at that time,
Oh, okay, right.
so they had really protected the names in the same group as financial
Yeah.
services.
I'm
So
going to ask you that off camera. I want
yeah,
to find out
yeah.
what that is.
I won't disclose anything
Yeah,
now.
don't name it.
No, so it cost. I sort of thought it cost me £20,000 in legal fees, and I thought that would do the job, but it didn't, and it did almost. It was a very tough time as
God.
well at that time, because I felt I'd built up enough awareness of the brand, of sort of investing in the website and things like that. But no, we rebranded in 2017 when I moved the business to our new location in Romford. New home of mortgages. That's sort of where it came
Oh, cool.
from. But anyone that has gone for a rebranding exercise, you'll find that there's a whole, or even launching a business. You're searching. You've come up with a name, and then you've got to look at the domain. Then you've got to look at company's house. Then you've got to look at now. Check the IP as well. Check the registrations now, because obviously once bitten,
Right.
twice shy. So we went for a whole sort of process, but found that name, really happy with it, and then sort of rebranded in 2017. So
Nice. So that's a little tip for everybody. If you're starting up, say if you're a self-employed broker at the moment, you listen to this and you want to set up on your own, where can they check those registered names, Michael?
I'm racking my brains to just remember what the site was. It was
Suppose
the
just a.
Intellectual Property Office.
Oh, okay, right.
IPO, yeah, Intellectual Property Office, yeah.
Right, check
So
the names in there.
Yeah, check there. Definitely that your name is protected. You can protect your brand as well, the logo.
Good idea.
As well.
I love the story of how I know exactly why you built up a successful company, because you move into your office, you've got the Lehman Brothers collapse the day after. If anybody's watched the film The Big Short, it's incredible. It talks about all this kind of stuff. And then you were like, right, you're going out to appointments that can't sell because they're probably in negative equity or very close to. You're like, right, let's let the houses out for them. That's massive. That is to make that switch like that. And that's speaking to you a couple of weeks ago. You're doing a lot of stuff in the background of your company that's not just relying on today. You're thinking about 2, 3, 5 years down the line. So you've got that mindset, and we're going to get into some of those things as well. So when it comes to the business, we've started the story, you've moved into your office, you start doing those let to buys, and it sounds like you had a business partner. At what point do you then go, right, I need my first member of staff? Can you talk us through what that was like?
Yeah, so for quite a few years, I was the mortgage advisor. That was my business, the mortgage business. We were 50-50 on the estate and letting agency business. And so for many years, my role was really the back office, running the business, and the advising on mortgages, and growing that business. And I started to do mortgages for various different estate agents locally. So I know I had the estate agency business, but I felt that I had a good reputation. You've just reminded me, actually, Chris. The name actually started off as the estate agency name, Financial Services, but I changed it quickly after that, and then went to the other name. But because I started doing mortgages for some local agents,
Right, I see.
yeah. So after that, that's when I really was the leads were coming in. We were doing well, and I thought, now's the time to take that leap. And I think the first person I got in was an administrator rather
Right.
than another broker.
Okay. And why did you do that rather than taking another broker to take on the leads?
I felt that I needed administrative support.
Okay.
And I felt that if I had that, then I would be able to write more business. I enjoy writing mortgages. I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy that part of the job. So I just felt that the administration side, if that was handled by somebody else, we would do better.
You could do more. Yeah.
Yeah,
And how did it feel kind of thinking, right, I've got to put that much money aside to hire somebody? Is it scary, that first member of staff hiring?
definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's a big mindset shift, and I think when you're just earning your money, I think you've got to change your mindset in terms of what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to build a business, it's different than just trying to earn more money.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because the money, if you're going to hire somebody, it's going to take a while to realize that investment, won't it?
Exactly. So and that's exactly what it is. You've got to see it as an investment and not cost of the business. And that's
Yeah.
the
I
different.
like that.
That's where sort of take it as a mindset shift. If you're
Yeah.
seeing it as an investment that's going to grow, you're a little bit more. You're less cautious of it than if it's an additional cost you're taking on.
You'd
And
rather
the
make an
right
investment.
person, and the right person will turn that investment into profit very quickly.
I like the way that you said right person there because you've obviously got a great team. We help you with your marketing and we deal with some of your team.
Yeah.
Everyone that we speak to is fantastic within the team. But where do you find good staff and how do you find those people?
Well, unfortunately, there isn't just one place that you can,
Okay.
you go fishing, and I'd be protecting that place if that was the place. But no, I mean, sometimes you have to go. I hired. I think that the person that really sort of changed it, I think, was Lindsay. I had an administrator called Lindsay. She was fantastic. She worked with me for many years, and when she came on board, her administrative skills were really good, and she was able to take a lot off of me and help me focus on growing the business. So yeah, I've got to give credit to
Give
Lindsay
credit to
for
Lindsay.
what she
And
did.
where do you find the Lindsays of the world? How do you find them?
I think I put an advert out on what was it, Indeed? I think it was.
Oh, okay. I've heard a few
No,
people
it wasn't.
talk
It was
about
a
Indeed.
recruitment consultant that they gave me. Yeah, it was a recruitment consultant that I spoke to. That's right.
Oh, okay.
That was back in 2014, 13, something like that. Yeah.
So since then, you've obviously grown 27 different staff across the two businesses. Where have you found those staff from? Is it friends? Is it job adverts? Is it people that you've known from the past? How do you find good staff?
I've got a fantastic team right now. I've had fantastic people in the past as well, and I think over the various different places. As I said, I don't think there's one place. I think with recruitment consultants, I've had success there. Just going through and thinking of where we found people. Introductions.
Okay, yeah.
So our office manager right now, she's absolutely fantastic, Ella, and she started with us at 16, straight
Oh,
from school.
wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's good.
I used to play pool with her dad many years ago, and back in the day, and yeah, she came on as an apprentice originally. I think she was actually the youngest person to pass a CMAP exam.
How old
So
was
she
she
did
then?
went straight into a CMAP exam straight away. Just turned 17.
Wow,
So she's the youngest
incredible.
person. I'm claiming it until somebody tells me that it's wrong. But
Objects.
yeah, but no, she's very bright, and she's now our office manager. So she's done every job, admin, and is the office manager. She's 23 now, and yeah, really
Wow,
good.
kudos to somebody
Yeah,
starting at 16. And yeah, 23 sounds young, but she's had what, 8 years? Well, no, sorry, 7
7 years. Yeah,
years with you to,
exactly. And it's a lot of
yeah.
training, development, and when I ask her, how she's been successful each role, what she says is that she never felt pressured into being thrown into the fire. She felt she understood the role before then moving into it. So every time she moved into a different role, she was not monitoring, shadowing first. She asked good questions. Obviously, that helps. And then she would move into that role and she'd make a success of it. But she didn't feel that she was ever being. And I've been guilty of that in the past, which was progressing people into an area of incompetence because they were good at one particular role. Not
Yeah.
incompetence, maybe that's the wrong word, but I think you know what I mean. Like not
Yeah, play
being,
them to their strengths
yeah,
almost. Leave them in a
yeah,
role where they're
on the
strong enough.
basis that I felt that everyone wants progression or what they feel is progression. Maybe progression isn't exactly always promoting or moving in a role that's deemed as a managerial role, for example.
That's a really good
Just
point.
being better at just maybe offering more reward for actually doing a fantastic job in the position they're in. Maybe would be another way of approaching it.
Yeah, I love that because some people don't want to move up and they want to be better at their particular role. I always used to liken it when I was an estate agent. I absolutely loved being a negotiator.
Yeah.
Loved showing. I love matching people with property. It was my favourite part. But the natural progression was you'll then go up to a valuer, and I didn't like it as much as negotiator, but it was almost like you have to become a lister before you can become a manager. Then when I become a manager, I loved it again because I got to train the negotiators. So it
Yeah.
is right, isn't it? Sometimes
State
there's a
agency
role that
is definitely one role that there's that natural progression, and you feel that you have to do this and you have to do that. But I think things
no,
are changing slightly in a sense that it's the role of an estate agent is changing in terms of they're dealing with buyers and vendors rather than having
yes,
that specific role.
the American
Yeah.
model. So we've talked about the team that you've got at the moment, but I want to take you back, and we spoke about this before we did the podcast. You had quite a challenging time, didn't you, through the Trussonomics, should we call it, when Liz
Yeah.
Truss decided to drop a bombshell on everybody in around about September, was it, 2022?
22.
Yeah. Can you talk us through that time? Because you'll openly admit that was a massive learning curve for you, and it was probably more the market than anything else that dictated the outcome. But can you talk us through what happened, Michael?
Yeah, certainly. So everyone knows the mortgage market is up and down. There's no real consistency to it, throughout the years. And obviously, been in it long enough, you've seen enough sort of ups and downs, peaks and troughs. For me, it was all about a timing issue, really. I've always wanted to grow the business, and the first time I decided to grow the business was January 2000. January 2000, sorry, 2020. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, then
Good
COVID
timing.
hit. I just invested a load of money, and then COVID hit. So obviously, I'd
Oh.
invested a lot of money there, and so that didn't work. And then I went to grow the business again in 2021, and I hired a lot of people in over 2022. Brought in a sales manager who was fantastic, and brought in who then brought in a whole team.
Oh,
And
okay.
I
Wow.
just hired, or she just hired. We'd hired I think 7 people on an employed basis 6 months prior to Liz Truss's announcement.
Wow.
So obviously that's a big wage bill, and interest rates were at an all-time low. Things were great, business was good, but that announcement, I just sort of knew that overnight the market was going to change, just purely based on past experiences. And I sort of knew that that wasn't going to work over the next 6 months because the amount of business that we would be able to provide to the team just wasn't going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a real tough decision, which was redundancies. And obviously it was a real tough time, and one I don't really want to ever have to do again.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think the redundancies, we remodeled the business on a self-employed basis after that, and fortunately have been able to grow. But going through that, it's the decision that needed to be made, and that was a real tough one. And I think trying to make that decision on what do we do, I didn't just sort of come up with it. I've sort of sought. Anyone has to go through a sort of a tough decision. It probably goes through a similar sort of process in trying to seek the advice of some
Mm-hmm.
experienced people, which
Yeah.
I made sure that I did. Presenting the facts, making sure the facts are clear, reworking the numbers, and then having to make that decision. So
Make that decision.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really tough time, and I'm sure it was tough for all the team as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were able to stay on the self-employed contract, and were able to. Others clearly, needed an income and
Yeah.
weren't able to. So we lost some good people, but yeah, that was a period that I don't want to have to relive.
Yeah, and sorry, I know I've made you relive through
Yeah.
telling the story, but the reason I wanted to speak about this, because this is something that came up in conversation between Michael and I wanted to get Michael on the podcast just to show people that if you're listening to this and you feel like you're going through a tough time with your business, whether you are a self-employed person or you've got, like Michael did there, probably nearly 30 staff at the time, you can come out of it a few years later and have a strong foundation of a business. It might feel, and I've had it in the past, it might feel like it's the end of the world for your business because maybe you have a member of staff that isn't performing in the way that you want them to, or you have to make tough decisions like Michael did. But it was for the longevity of the business. And what Michael just said there is he had to lose some really good staff, which is a shame, but it's enabled the team that are there today to be even stronger. So just for
Yeah.
everybody to listen to
Well,
this.
just to add to that, Chris, like one of the things I always say to people is that a lot of anxiety is caused by unmade decisions.
Very,
I
yeah.
think a lot of people, if you are struggling or you do have you're anxious about any, it's normally because there's an unmade decision, and once you've made that decision, then things tend to get a bit better. Now, whether
Yeah.
time will tell whether it's the right or wrong decision, but making a decision is what creates the sort of anxiety. I think not the unmade decision makes the anxiety. So,
But I think what you, from the sounds of it, listening, and people that are listening to this will agree with me, you make fast and slow decisions. Your fast one was 2008. Right, market's gone. We need to do something to keep our head above water. We're going into lettings. But then your slow decisions, you knew that the market wasn't going to facilitate all of these new staff, but you didn't make a knee-jerk reaction. You were like, right, I'll go and seek the advice of people that have maybe been through this before, business advice. So something as important as that, you can't make that knee-jerk reaction, can you?
no.
So,
You've got to do the work, and that's the thing. Once you've done the work, make the decision. And that's what I think needs to happen.
really good story to tell everybody, for everybody to know. Okay, so we're going to move into the marketing section of the podcast, because you guys are huge on marketing, the way that you generate leads. How many lead sources do you have across Home of Mortgages, Specialist Commercial, and Brookings?
So we've got over 30 introducers. We've built
Wow.
that over time through estate agents and accountants and a few wealth advisors. We'd like to have more wealth
Incredible.
advisors, but about over 30 introducers. Yeah.
Wow, gosh. And then I think we need a completely separate podcast on how you've generated new introducers, because that's a lot. I think that's one of the most we've had on the podcast. And that's years of relationships, but it'd be interesting to do an episode to find out exactly how you do that. Do you generate any leads from a digital marketing point of view, or an
Yeah.
email, or a
Pay per
newspaper
click.
adverts?
Pay per click. We
Yep.
do pay per click and obviously social media.
Yeah,
And I
run
want to say
by.
thank you so much, Chris. I've had some really good feedback
Oh, that's awesome.
from the team as well as clients on our social media since we've been working with yourself. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Um,
Thank you.
but as you say, it's that's sort of the brand side of things. Is focusing on the brand side as well as lead generation.
Yeah.
But one thing that I feel that we could do more of, which we've been speaking about recently, is there's a big, huge focus always on finding new clients.
Hmm.
I think sometimes it can be overlooked to look at who you've actually got on your client bank and how they can help you grow your business internally. So one thing we're focusing on now is we started just like a lot of businesses do, have a sort of refer a friend scheme,
Hmm.
but trying to build stronger relationships with our client reviews in terms of asking our existing clients for a business and referrals. So that's something we're sort of getting all the advisors to focus on. So rather
Hmm.
than from a head office sort of position in terms of what leads we're generating, is really sort of trying to get the advisors to focus on generating their own business via their existing relationships.
I love that. And that's something that I think as business owners, we sometimes get so focused on the shiny new clients
Mm,
that we don't actually think about, well, the clients that we're serving already, what can we do to either enhance their experience or to get more business? You know what I
yeah.
mean? You've spent so much money. And I remember reading Alex Hormozy book, and he talks about his cost per acquisition of each client. And if it cost 20 quid for a lead to generate 20 quid and you get that person, if you then speak to one of your existing clients and you make 20 quid from them, for
Mm,
example, you sell a 20 quid product, well, your next new customer is essentially free. You've reduced that cost per acquisition of that client
mm,
just by using your current clients.
yeah,
But that's a great way of looking at it because you can get new clients for free. But also, as you said, a really important word is it strengthens the relationship with your current clients, doesn't it? That's
definitely.
most
Yeah.
definitely how it helps. And
And I
I
think
think
that's
we,
going to be really important going into a period where we'll talk about it. I'm sure the more the digital say the digital age. We're obviously in a digital age, but the way that lenders are going to have more power in that sort of digital age of
yeah.
and communicate with their clients. What separates us is relationships.
Mhm.
From us brokers, from the way that lenders interact with the clients, is the strength of the relationship. So I think that's going to be more and more important as well.
Definitely. As technology helps the bigger lenders, they can spend the money on AI. They can get these PTs. I don't think mortgage brokers will be doing PTs in 2 years' time because the Barclays, the NatWest will have a system that draws them down.
Mm.
But one massive tip for you guys, and this is what we've worked with Home of Mortgages on, is get your faces out there. Tell people who you are. Get some of the team. We've just recorded some videos with Michael's team members because you want to make sure that they know who you are as a person. You're not just a faceless brand. Yes, branding is very important. Everybody knows Virgin, but even more people know about Richard Branson, and that's the strength that you need of your brokers. You guys are going on quite a big digital marketing journey. Hence, you've got
Can I
Claudia,
just
who's
say,
your
Chris, just to
marketing.
say what
Go
you
on.
said there about the video, doing the videos.
Yeah.
I've tried it a couple of times in the past, and I
Mhm.
hated every second of it, especially watching it back. But you went since sort of joining with yourselves is that you made it really, really easy. I mean,
Oh,
one
awesome.
thing is not being able to see yourself was great, with the tools that you've got and the content that you provide. So, I just want to say thank you for that because you made it really easy, and also my team were really, found it really easy as well because everyone's nervous about doing it for the first time. And I think the more you can do it, the more it then becomes natural. The more you can, do some of your own bits and pieces as well. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, definitely, you know,
Oh, thank you. That's always good to have a shout out for our
that's it.
services. And if you are listening to this and you are a bit hesitant of doing videos, drop us a message on any of our socials and I'll talk you through how it works. We spend an hour with Michael every every 2 months, and we get 10 high quality videos out of, and we write the scripts and everything. So this isn't a massive plug for our services because it's all about
No,
Michael's
it's all true
journey,
though.
but
It's all true. It's all true. I did,
love
I
it.
struggled with it for a long time and didn't want to do it and put it off and put it off. And I'm sure there's plenty of people in exactly the same situation. But then the way your approach just made it easy. So that's
Love
just
it.
the truth. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So if you want video help with video content, most definitely drop us a message. So you've got your social media, you've got your PPC. You guys are now taking it to the next level. And this is where Claudia, your marketing manager, who's obviously another fantastic team member,
Yeah.
she knits all of this together.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a new dedicated CRM system. And we won't go into the nuts and bolts of it, but what essentially is this new CRM system going to do? And how does it help Claudia bring all of that stuff together?
Yeah, no, I don't mind sharing. So I feel like for the last 6 months, I've probably been more of a software developer than a mortgage advisor. I've enjoyed it. I was in IT many years ago, like before
Oh, right.
mortgages, just briefly. So I understood sort of software and a bit about computers. But so it enabled me to. So I always just see the software side of things is that anything can be done. You've just got to figure out how to do it. And as we looked at lots of different software. One thing that I always struggled with is trying to link up our sales and marketing function. It's great spending money on marketing, but what bit of marketing worked? That's there's a famous quote in there somewhere, and I won't try and remember it, but from a marketing perspective. But so in order to do that, you've got to link up those sales and marketing functions. You've got to know what pieces of marketing you're putting out there, and what leads are coming in, and which are turning into business. So that was the start of it last year, is to say, well, let's start with that, but also the way that clients are being communicated with is obviously changing. We're all getting different ways of registering with a GP and getting text messages, and we wanted that sort of functionality, and for our clients, booking appointments, getting appointment confirmations, etc., etc. So, how do we find a system that can do all of that and that we can control? So we spent sort of 6 months building out our system ourselves with Claudia, our office manager, and it was built on the Go High Level architecture, and we call it Grateful. So I've been able to deploy it throughout the different businesses, through Brookings, through Home of Mortgages, Home Specialist Finance, and it enables us to create funnels and generate leads through content marketing or pay-per-click marketing. The idea now is obviously once it's been built out and clients are getting communicated in the way that we want them to be communicated with, we can then sort of invest and actually see the data and see what's working and invest more money in the right places. So that's really sort of the journey that we've been on over the last sort of 6 to 9 months.
It's an incredible piece of software that not many people in the financial services market are utilising, because it's normally like a CRM for a marketing company. We've just adopted it. I remember hearing Michael speaking about it, and it is incredible. You can do a text marketing campaign, you can do an email marketing campaign, a social campaign, funnels where if somebody downloads a PDF, they get sent emails. So it's a very, very powerful tool. But it's not something you can install overnight, is it? It's like Michael said, he spent 6 months and had a specialist drafted in to do this for him. So I'm not telling the listeners on here to kind of overhaul their whole company, but just be aware that the way that people are communicating with the likes of mortgage brokers is changing. And that's being driven by the lenders, that mortgage brokers now need to realise we need to be part of this. So
I
maybe
think it's
just
the
take...
segmentation piece. That was the key thing, is really understanding our data. And that was a big part of the project is how do we pull our data? How many of our clients are buy-to-let clients, landlords? How many of them are, how many leads did we have that were first-time buyers? How many people have downloaded and interacted with our buy-to-let
Love
guide. You
that.
know,
Yeah.
those sort of things. How many haven't got protection? You know,
Yeah.
how many of your clients haven't got protection? So these sort of things, any business owner, you'd love to have that information, and I think that's the key thing. Is that's what we wanted to have. But once you've got the information, what are you going to do with it? So that's the process we're going through right now.
Really, really interesting. And it would be great to catch up in 12 months' time to see how that has been going
Yeah.
and what kind of figures you've got off the back of that. Love it. So before we get into the strategy question, which I know a lot of people love the answer to this one, we like to make a £10 donation to a charity of your choice, Michael. So which charity would you like us to make the donation on your behalf for?
It's going to be for First Step, and I'll send you our charity link
First Step.
because we're doing a bike ride. There's 19 of us through Brookings doing a bike ride on London to Southend, 52-mile
God.
bike ride, London to Southend on the 6th of July. So I'll send you the charity link, and you can make the donation there. That would be really appreciated. First Step
Fantastic.
are a local charity. They've been going 30 years. They don't get any government funding, and they support autistic children and their families through some very tough times. And they're a fantastic charity.
Okay, great. We will make that donation for that, and I'm sure there'll be some photos of everyone in their lycra uploaded to
Yeah.
socials on the day.
No lycra.
Just pick the height of the summer to do a 52-mile bike ride. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So let's get into the strategy question. We're going to pretend that you've moved to the north of Scotland, miles away from where you guys down are in Romford. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone, and an internet connection. What would you do to start generating new leads, Michael?
I say to my brokers that when they very first start, their job is to build their list of 100 clients. Okay, so
Okay, right.
they'll build their list of 100 clients. So I would say similarly, if you're looking for new introducers, I would say get a spreadsheet, find 100 estate agents, and start calling them.
Really,
And
just as
then you
simple as
build
that.
your list. Yeah, just build your list. And you might get 10%, you might get 2%, but you're going to get introducers. But you've got to do the work. That's it's doing the work really. I think that's the key thing. Is how we got a lot of introducers on board. Is just continually. You build the list. Some of them will have their own advisors. Some will be mortgage advisors, and they'll come off the list, and other people go on the list. And so I'd say, if I was in Scotland, my wife would be very unhappy because no, so that's really bad for Scotland. But I mean, if I was in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
So I'd say that.
I love that. That you can see what I like is there's a number to it 100 clients, introducers. And what's really interesting, I say this about anybody, for somebody that's like you, that's really into your marketing, you've got a new system involved for data. You track everything. You go old school, you go bit of paper, a spreadsheet, 1 to 100, pick up the phone, speak to them. Nothing to do with the internet or your laptop or anything. You know what I mean? Those are all, and I think sometimes when you strip it back to the basics, all of these tools and AI and social and video, they're great to help you build a business. But building a
You've
business
got to
is
hit the
just
phone.
bloody hard work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You've got to be on the phone. You've got to build personal connections. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Michael, I could have probably stretched this podcast episode out to about 2 hours, I reckon. So I most definitely need to get you back on and chat through some other bits that we did. But if anybody does want to reach out to you and have a chat, where's the best place for them to reach you, Michael?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just email me, michael@homeofmortgages.co.uk.
Simple as that. Perfect. Michael, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for giving us so much value.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.